All right, guys, joining me now, I have Ronnie Brown. He is an Auburn and NFL alum running back, and he is here to talk today about the Auburn versus Alabama Iron Bowl. How are you doing, Ronnie?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We were just talking about it. It has been a wild season for Auburn. How much of an emotional roller coaster has this been just watching your alumni?
Well, I mean, as a fan, obviously you always want the best for your team and as a former player. So it's been a little challenging this year, but you take the good with the bad when you're a true fan, and it's like just just hope for improvement.
Right. What's your take on what you've seen Cadillac do with this program in the last 2 or 3 weeks?
It's been interesting. One because I mean, Cadillac's a close friend, and so not only did we share the backfield together, we've shared so many stories, upbringing and things of that nature. I've also gotten an opportunity to see him, with his second career in coaching and working his way up to this point. So to get this opportunity, it's been great to see that because now I feel like the world's getting a chance to see the person that I know as a friend. On a coaching level. And so I feel like he's gained a lot of fans just from his perspective, his character, his integrity, and what he represents. And so it's been good, and I think the energy is contagious, like with the guys, like because, a lot of people talk about, well, experience, experience, experience. And I'm like, well, he's played the game at a high level. And the other part of it about playing college football, so many people put experience on that. I'm like, there are a lot of great coaches that don't have good players that don't win, or there are a lot of average coaches that get a lot of great players and they win. And so, that's based on relatability and also just having players. X's and O's beat Jimmy and Joe. I mean, Jimmy's and Joe's beat the X's and O's. And so once you understand that, and so seeing his take and his relatability to be able to connect with those guys in the locker room, for them to be as passionate and motivated to play, you can just kind of see it on a daily basis, a weekly basis. And so it's cool to see, as a friend and someone from the outside looking in, seeing how things are going.
Yeah, that interview after the win against A&M was truly great. It was great to see such passion coming out of him. So I'm sure it was incredible for you to watch being close friends with him.
Yeah, and it's organic too. That's a big part of it. Like that's who he is. Like that's the person that I know. And so, now, like I said, everybody's getting a glimpse to see, behind the scenes of because so many people, I think, as fans, we want to know what people are really like. And so this is him, and we're just getting to see it on a grander scale.
From your perspective, what scenario does there need to be where Auburn beats Alabama this weekend?
Well, one, I think they need to be consistent, and they need to be mistake free in terms of, self inflict stuff, jumping off sides, turning the ball over, careless mistakes, false starts, things of that nature to give yourself an opportunity, especially on the road, when you're not going to have the majority of the crowd. And so, you look at those things and then you have to be balanced. Like you have to be able to throw the ball this week. I'm going to have to take some easy stuff. And, like Jason, my former roommate says all the time, who was our former quarterback, he's like, you have to make the plays that you're supposed to make. Don't make the easy hard. And so, that's one of the keys to it. And then making them drive the field, not giving them anything easy, and win the trenches. You have to, win the game. The game's going to be determined, between the tackles, and whoever's winning the line of scrimmage is going to give themselves an opportunity to win that game.
Well, I think the big topic right now is who is going to be the next head coach. There's been a lot of chirping on Twitter. I'm curious, who do you think it would be?
I mean, all signs are pointing towards Lane. But I don't believe in that stuff, especially like when you get to hearing, all kinds of rumors. I don't do rumors, and so I think a lot of times those are smoke screens anyway. And so until it's official, and I don't get into it enough. I don't know coaching candidates out there. I don't even know, outside of Lane and obviously Dion's name came up and Hugh Freeze along with a couple other guys' names that have kind of popped up as of late. You really don't know. And I'm not to say like just because I haven't been involved in coaching, I don't know who's the best candidate. I know from a requirement standpoint, somebody who's familiar, not only with Auburn SEC football, it needs to be someone who can connect with these young men because it's just a different nature of football in terms of personalities. connecting with them, but also being able to go out and recruit. And then outside of that, you're just the CEO of a company. And so, I think those are some of the requirements that you have to take in mind. We're seeing it with Cadillac, the response that he's getting, without the 10, 15, 20 years of experience, the coaching experience. And so, I think the thing about it is it has to be a unified front, whoever it is. The school has to support the fan base. The fan base has to support that person, and everyone has to be pulling in the same direction.
Right. And like you said, I think all signs kind of are pointing to Lane Kiffin at this point, but the way he's been tweeting and kind of trying to quell the rumors, it would be a big shock for it to kind of go back on that. So I'd be really interested to see in the next few weeks who they end up appointing. So I want to hear a little bit about your own personal memories from when you played at Auburn and in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't understand the magnitude of the game. I didn't grow up in Alabama. So I actually grew up in Georgia and Northwest Georgia. And so for me, it was always, I just wanted to beat Georgia because I wanted to come home for holidays. And, a bunch of my friends went to Georgia. And so that relationship was really important. Not until I played in the game did I understand the magnitude of the game itself, because you hear so much about it. And then the other part of it is, because there's no professional sports teams in Alabama, you're either one side or you're the other. You're either Auburn or you're Alabama. And so when I was in the stadium for the first time for that game, it was a lot to take in, and seeing how seriously the fans take that game. Households, when they say households divided on car tags, I think that's really the truth in the state of Alabama when it comes to that game. And so, playing in that game, it was really competitive. You want to win because you get those bragging rights for the other 364 days of the year until that game comes around again. And so, I think it's just, it's not a lot outside of that to compete with when you're talking about activities in the state of Alabama, sports teams. And so that is pretty much essentially what you have on a grander scale. And so I grew to know that very quickly in participating in that game. And, I enjoyed it as well because I feel like in my heart, it's the best rivalry in college football because, even at this time of year, you take the records out of the window, you throw everything out because you just don't know. Like recruiting classes, none of that stuff matters because we've seen, games go different directions than we would have thought of, and so this is one of those games. And so it's exciting. It's exciting to have been a part of it. It's exciting to watch it and see it continue now, even over the last few years with Coach Saban's dominance. Like Auburn's been able to beat them a few times. And so, that's been pretty cool, coming down to a lot of times the last second, literally. But, it's interesting. And I think that's what college football, that's what sports are. That's why we enjoy them, because of rivalries like this.
It is always a great matchup, and we're all going to be looking forward to watching it this weekend. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for coming on and talking a bit about it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.